Welcome to Beekeeping Today podcast presented by Bee Culture. Beekeeping Today podcast is your source for beekeeping news, information, and entertainment. I'm Jeff Ott.
And I'm Kim Flatham.
Hey, Jeff and Kim. Today's sponsor is Global Patties. They're a family-operated business that manufactures protein supplement patties for honeybees. It's a good time to think about honeybee nutrition. Feeding your hives protein supplement patties will ensure that they produce strong and healthy colonies by increasing brood production and overall honey flow. Now is a great time to consider what type of patty is right for your area and your honeybees. Global offers a variety of standard patties as well as custom patties to meet your needs. No matter where you are, Global is ready to serve you out of their manufacturing plants in Airdrie, Alberta, and in Butte, Montana, or from distribution depots across the continent. Visit them today at www.globalpatties.com.
Hey, thanks a lot for that, Sherry. We really appreciate our sponsors. Without their support, we would have a very difficult time bringing you the podcast on a weekly basis. With that, thanks to Bee Culture Magazine for continuing their presenting sponsorship of this podcast. Bee Culture's been the magazine for American beekeeping since 1873. Also, check out Bee Culture's Beekeeping Your First 3 Years, a quarterly magazine for beginning beekeepers. We want to thank 2 Million Blossoms, the sponsor of this episode. 2 Million Blossoms is a quarterly magazine dedicated to protecting all pollinator insects. Learn more on our Season 2, Episode 9 podcast with editor and our guest co-host, Kirsten Trainer, and from visiting www.2millionblossoms.com, and that is with a number 2. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. And hey, Kim, how's that goldenrod honey flow?
It's been good this year, Jeff. I like going out in the porch in the morning and you can't smell anything. I got a hive right next to my front porch. By noon, it's really strong, and by supper time, you almost can't go out there. It's so strong. A good friend of mine a long time ago said he loves the smell of goldenrod. It smells like money, and he's exactly right. So it's been a good season so far.
Oh, that's great. That is a great smell. I always enjoyed the smell of the goldenrod and asters in the fall time when you could smell it coming off the hive, and that's a good thing. Around here, it's nasty. Speaking of smells, and the bees have shut down since mid July, and and now with all the smoke from the wildfires, the bees are pretty grumpy right now. They don't have much to do. As I think I've told you once, it seems like the bees are just lined up front, just waiting for the yellow jackets to come and take them away. It's a sad state of affairs out there.
It's a tough way to keep bees.
It's a tough time right now. I feel bad for the folks down south and everybody who's lost property and homes and lives. So our thoughts are with them.
Yeah.
Well, before we get going, I just want to remind folks what we've been talking about this last month is the upcoming fourth International Bee and Hive Monitoring Conference. It's going on as presented by the University of Montana and Dr. Jerry Bromenshank. It's October 5th through 9th, and it's all on the web this year. Isn't it, Kim, on Zoom or?
Yeah, they were going to do Zoom, and they think they're going to get too many people. They can only handle 500 on Zoom. So they're going to go to a webinar, I guess. I just learned that today.
Oh, good. Well, that's really good. It sounds like they've really increased the numbers of people they expect to attend.
Yep, it sounds like it. And I'm kind of surprised. More than 500 people are going to tune in, but with a webinar, you get to see the people that are talking at the same time, and the presentation will be a little bit different, and there'll be able to be a lot more people there. Some of them which have been on our show.
Oh, very good. And they're limited on presentation time, correct?
15 minutes, that's it.
Oh, that's good. So there's 40 or 45 presenters, limited to 15 minutes each. That's pretty good. No death by PowerPoint then. Well, this is a great opportunity for in one showing, one sitting, to see all the new hive monitoring products and electronics that go along with keeping bees, whether from production or science or even just management of multiple bee yards. I think it's a great thing to do.
Well, I'm going to tune in. I think you are too, Jeff. We'll see if we can find somebody that we haven't talked to yet and that's got something that looks interesting, and we'll give them a chance to talk more than 15 minutes.
That's right. It'll be a good opportunity to find out what's going on and meet some good people. And it's not very expensive either, is it?
I think I paid $20. It was $20, and you can do it on PayPal.
No, they make it real easy. So the folks go out to their website. It's colonymonitoring.com/events. But just go out to our website, click on the show notes, and it'll take you right there. Hey, Kim, you've been doing some reading this fall, haven't you?
Well, a lot. But I just finished one. I thought I'd tell you about it, Jeff. It's called Swarm Control. It's by a guy named Richard Ball, and it's published by Northern Bee Books. Our friend Jeremy over in the UK published it. It just came out, and it's not a big, thick book. It's a basic how-to stop your bees from swarming. And if you're looking to make money with your bees, that's what you got to do. You got to have them stop. You got to have them. You can't let them be swarming. And he does it well. He starts with the fundamentals, how to find the queen. That's basic. Because every technique that he reviews requires knowing where the queen is and or knowing where to put her in the final hive arrangement. And once you found her, he shows you how to mark her, which is going to make life real simple down the line when you're looking for her next time. So that's good information. He starts his exams in his season in the UK in March or early April, which may be too late or too early for wherever it is you are, but you're going to be doing the same things. And he makes reference points to what's going on in the world outside the hive so that you can kind of adjust your time to match what he's doing. And then he goes into several of the common techniques used by beekeepers. The Demery method basically separates the queen from the existing brood by placing her on drawn comb above the honey and above an excluder. That works, but then you got to go back and you got to find any queen cells that the bees down below are going to. So you've got 2 trips and maybe a missed queen cell. So that it works, but you got to know what you're doing going in. He's got the techniques developed by Paget and Hedden and Snellgrove, and they've all developed swarm prevention techniques over the years, which basically make the bees think that they swarmed, which, again, is what you want. You want them to not even stop, slow down, change their behavior or anything to think about swarming, so all they do is making honey and making bees. And that works pretty well doing this. The other thing is that most of these things produce a broodless period, which is, 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm getting a broodless period to help with varroa, and I'm keeping my bees from swarming. So it helps in a lot of ways. Jeff, get this book. Call up Jeremy and have him send you this book, because there aren't any excuses now for swarms next year. This one's got all the answers.
Why are you calling me out on that, Kim? All right, and the name of the book again, Kim, is?
Swarm Control by Richard Ball, published by Northern Bee Books.
All right, I'll look for it. All right, well, speaking of books, let's talk real quick about our guest this afternoon and then get right into the interview. Who do we have lined up?
Dewey Caron's written another book. I don't think that guy understands the definition of retirement, because he hasn't slowed down a bit since he quit teaching college, and he's just going. And I'm looking forward to talking to him about this project, because this is really. I've read the book. Have you had a chance to read it, Jeff?
Yes. Yeah.
It is very unlike Dewey Caron, and every page was. I didn't know he could do this. So, yeah, let's get him going on here.
Hello, beekeepers. Your honeybees face a lot of challenges out there. Unbalanced food sources from monoculture crops, holding yards, drought, food shortages, antibiotics, pesticides, and pathogens like chalk brood. To overcome these challenges, your bees need the multiple bacteria that are in all nectars, pollens, and the environment. These bacteria aid honeybees' digestion and improve your honeybees' response and resilience to pesticides. Now you can help improve your honey colony health with a quick, easy, and safe-to-use product. Strong Microbial's Super DFM Honeybee uses naturally occurring bacteria to restore the healthy gut biome of your honeybees. Check them out today at www.strongmicrobials.com.
Hey, Dewey, welcome back to the Beekeeping Today podcast. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you. Pleasure to join you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you again, Dewey.
Hi.
It's been an interesting summer.
Yes, it has. Out here in Oregon, where I am these days as well. Boy, it had great possibilities for a fantastic year, and boy, it just went the bust.
Yep.
They didn't swarm. They didn't store honey. So what do you keep bees for, right?
Yeah, you're you have the same problems I have up here in Olympia, right? I mean, the season shuts down mid-July, and that's it.
We're done. We're done for the season, and I mean really done because it just gets so warm and so dry. We've already started the fires, and the forest fires. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, same here, of course, and I'm just starting. Yeah, I'm dreading to having to start feeding and. It'd be a long fall.
Yeah.
I got a month. I got a month of summer left yet, guys.
I know you still got good clover in bloom, probably, right?
I got clover in bloom and goldenrod's just starting to show color, and of course you got all the fall asters coming on. I expect 2 good harvests this year.
Nice going.
And
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Well, here, the goldenrod and aster are only garden plants, ornamental garden plants. I mean, it's not like every ditch and every field and edge of every field and every parts of woods. Not at all here.
I've got 7 acres of it behind me.
Nice.
I always like the smell of the fall goldenrod and all of that coming in the fall is enjoyable. Well, Dewey, we're not here to talk about the weather or political events in Portland. Let's. You have a new book that's coming out this month.
I do. I was busy over the winter session. We have basically finished this up in about 2 months period of time. So it's an interesting book, and I've enjoyed doing it.
Well, it's certainly not typical Dewey Caron, I have to admit.
Well, before we get further, the title of the book is called The Complete Bee Handbook, and you can find it available out on Amazon or wherever you can wherever you buy books. But go ahead.
Can I show you one? Then okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Looks good.
And it was meant to be a bookstore book before all of what's happening has happened, and so that's the reason for the bright color, so it'll attract attention. But even as you go on Amazon, where it is also available, it shows up right away.
Well, it's quite a bit lighter than your honeybee biology and beekeeping handbook, I will say.
Thank you. And it was meant to be so. It was meant to we get questions all the time is, I'm interested in bees. I want to save bees. What can I be doing? And of course, the honeybee biology and beekeeping is, start a bee colony, get into bees. Here's how you can do it. Here's the biology that you'll need to know, and then how you take care of them. So it's not designed to be that complete how to keep bees, but it's why you might be interested in bees, why you might be interested in working in what piece of terrain you have, if it's only a garden or it's a terrace that you have, of what you might also do to help save the bees.
Well, of course, one of the things to help save the bees is to help save the beekeeper. And even if you don't want to get involved with bees and beekeeping and having a hive, there's a lot of, you put together a lot of projects in here. I got to be honest, I would have never imagined you writing about making candles. And it was a pleasure, and it was neat to see, because I did it in my first book. The publisher wanted basically the same thing. And they wanted something else you could do with bees, and there it is. And you did a good job. Nice photography, good instructions, simple, easy to follow, straightforward. I'm impressed.
Thank you. Thank you. And that was the intention. Actually, I am following your lead because as I recall, when yours first came out, I said, recipes in this. Because in honeybee biology, I talk about beeswax. I do actually have the mead recipe in there, but not the other. So, we should not lose sight that bees are our important pollinators, but doggone, people keep the bees because of all the various products that we get from them. And so that whole last chapter on the recipes is, okay, so now you've got something else. What am I going to do with it? I have some beeswax that I harvested when I harvested honey. What should I do with it? I kind of chew it, but it doesn't have much taste. What else can I do with it? So the candles came as the candles and the propolis, and of course, way back when I was started out as a mead maker. So we have a whole big section on mead and making mead and how the details how to do it.
And mead's really expanded in the last, 5 years or so. You can even find it on the grocery store shelves now.
And even in some bars. I mean, you can go in bars and they don't look at you so funny. You can in some places in England go into the same one and ask for it, and they have it. But now it's even appearing there. But yeah, there's it's like that home craft, the home brewing. We'd even considered putting a honey beer recipe in there. Opted for the mead, but the honey beer also is enjoying some popularity.
I haven't tried that. That would be interesting.
Oh, it's good. Yep. Dewey, one of the things as I was paging through the book early on before I sat back and read it was you've got some segments in every chapter that by the numbers and you better believe it, and they're like one-pagers of summary of the chapter. So what I found myself doing is going from, and you put them on paper that's blue and not white, so they're easy to find. So I just went through the book and I read all those first. That's a neat technique. I would have never thought of trying to do that.
I actually have carried that over from the honeybee biology, where we have interest box, and the intent was. I could have gone to bees or history way back when. My Boy Scout mentor, where I was earning the Boy Scout merit badge in beekeeping, was also the history teacher. And so I could have gone either direction. I went to the science rather than the history, but I still have that affection for the historical background. And so many of these are related to that aspect of without hitting you over the head with dates in the hardcore history, sort of some of the background where some of this stuff comes from.
Yeah. Well, it made the book fun to read.
Well, good.
Absolutely. And I think it's really for someone who's starting out, and as you mentioned earlier, just thinking about beekeeping, not sure, not quite, what is it all about? You provide a great foundation. And without all the extra detail that might bog down someone's interest. So from that standpoint, I think it's a greatly positioned.
Thanks, Jeff. The other thing that is in that is that not everyone wants to be a beekeeper, or not everyone has necessarily the funds you might need or the space that they might need. But everyone wants to help do something for nature. And many people are, deep into gardening. And so I think the other strength of this as an introduction is what can you do in your garden? What are some of the things that we might look at in terms of, one, conserving what we have, and two, attracting other things that might come to our garden, particularly the other bees other than honeybees, and the butterflies and the flies, the other pollinators. So I think that's also one of the strengths, in that it's not just on honeybees, but it is complete on bees and pollinators.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the gardening thing was I didn't know you were a gardener. I've never seen that aspect of you. That was kind of fun to see.
Yeah, I'm a lifelonger.
Oh, sort of like me, I guess. if I don't have my hands in a beehive, I've got them in a flower pot or the garden somewhere.
You indeed. You've got a little more space than I do. And we just finished our blueberries. I've got 4 blueberry bushes that last me a long time. And sad news, I've picked the last of them now this year. Getting too dry.
Well, then I can say I just picked the first of my blackberries this week. I got another 10 days of blackberry cobbler coming.
Nice. Mine are gone by. But I'll go to a nearby farm with the grandkids and we pick. And one of my favorites is out here is there's a big berry called Marionberry. And it's, even bigger than the big blackberries. Oh, it's so sweet, so delicious.
The blackberries are just coming on now, so those are really tasty.
Yes.
I go past a whole bunch of them right out when I'm going out to the bee yard, so I always stop there if you grab some.
Yeah, and many people have these type of plants around, and so those are they're attracting to a number of different bees, including the great big bumblebees. We have a little feature in terms of how can you attract more bumblebees. What's their biology? So it is more than just honeybees. The complete book.
I like the biology section that you did was, I think, just the right weight, not to scare people off, because sometimes that does. You open up a book and there's big words and lots of pictures and diagrams and you just kind of turn the page and say, "Well, next, let's see what's next." But you handled the biology section, I thought, really well, and certainly you've got the depth to lighten up. I guess I should say. That's probably a way to say it because of your biology books in the past.
Don't we in beekeeping really love our lingo? We just throw those words out, and of course now we're as bad as the government, in that now it's not deformed wing virus, it's DWV, or IBDB, or all these other things. Oh, we love our terms. I had a good editor, and he knew enough. He was a bit of a gardener and enjoyed pollinating insects. Wasn't a beekeeper, but he was savvy enough to know that Dewey, that's we're too deep into the biology, or what does that mean? Can you explain that in my terms? And that was helpful as well.
Well, it certainly showed, and from an editor's perspective, that's perfect advice. If I don't understand it, my readers aren't going to understand it, and I, you've got 50 years of experience and writing, and you understand it all. And the guy who's going to pick up this book is going to put it down and walk away. I think I kind of summed this up. If I had the resources, I think every beekeeper should have 2 or 3 of these books in his house. So when somebody asks him, tell me about beekeeping, I don't have to spend a lot of time trying to explain it without good graphics or good, taken to a beehive and show them, because people kind of get lost. This would be a good book to give to somebody who's thinking about bees and beekeeping. I think you already kind of said that, but I'm thinking of it from the perspective of a beekeeper who interacts with people who aren't keeping bees. This would be a good thing to do, I think.
I gave copies to my sons. I live out here because I'm near my grandkids, and both of them mentioned that they hadn't had a chance to get to the book yet because the grandkids were looking at the book. and one of them came back and says, "Papa, I didn't know you knew how to do that."
Yeah,
I think it was reference to growing and the section, and what you would do in your garden to attract bees. And she said, "But I'm afraid of bees." I said, "But you like butterflies?" "Yeah, I like butterflies." "Oh, well," I said, "that's in there too."
Well, it certainly shows. It was a fun read. And what's next on your plate, Dewey?
Well, next on the plate is a deep revision of the honeybee biology. We've added a couple of sections that should be out in 2021. That book is a textbook and meant as a textbook. So it's for not to get you into bees, not the beginner, but once you're in there and you're, quote, bee fever, you're hooked. Then the type of thing that you could go back to as a good reference. And I have another one that I'm another idea that I'm playing around with. I've been just so busy writing some of the technical stuff for Varroa sampling, this material for the Honeybee Health Coalition, and now I'm deeply involved with the Pollinator Protection Group in a what's going to end up being an app, is right now a computer application called the BMD. And so both of those in the immediate future will take some of my time. But then if I get to Bolivia, I'll start on this next project. I'll never catch up with you, Kim, but bit by bit we'll try. This is only number 9 for me, so.
Yeah, we had Jamie Ellis on the podcast earlier this spring talking about WebMD. Med. The BMD, the BMD folks, and since then I've gone out there multiple times. I don't recall him saying it that in the interview that you were involved. Is this a new involvement? Are you been enlisted into this, or have you?
So I've been enlisted into this, in part to try to make the connections after you get to an ID. So so the whole concept is to put in what you're seeing as the symptoms. I'm seeing this and this and this, and then that'll then lead you through a key to you get, well, probability it could be 75% this or 25% something else, let's say. So then my involvement has been to add some more meat around just the photo ID of how to, you get it 75%. So here, maybe you didn't look at this, or in my description, in other words, here's a fuller description. And then the thing that we're going to add then is the references to the unbiased literature, the extension literature, the Honeybee Health Coalition, some of the state association websites have some great information about, sometimes you want to know more than just what it is, which is what the BID is. Okay, this sounds pretty serious. How do I control it? So it's an extension of that. So I've been brought in on the project to try to do those, add the meat to the bones that we have of the ID.
That'd be great. And you said they're working sooner rather than later to create an application out of it for your app, for your phone or pad of some sort.
So we are waiting in terms of hoping to hear from grant funding to be able to do that. Yes. If the funding comes, it'll be done sooner than later.
For those who didn't catch the Jamie Ellis show, Dewey, can you give me a bullet points on how the BMD works?
Yeah, the concept is that you're in your beehive and you see something that you haven't seen before. So look at the signs, the symptoms of what you see, and then you would enter the program and say, instead of the larva being white, it was yellowish. Instead of being coiled as that tight C shape in the bottom, it sort of looked twisted in the cell.
You're doing this on your phone?
That will be the app. So if your computer connection is on the phone, yes, you can do this in the field, or you do it once you get back to your computer. So the app would be sort of the version that would work very well on your iPhone. What we have now works better on your computer when you're sitting at your computer.
So probably what I'm doing is I'm taking a quick picture of what I'm looking at, or 2 or 3. I go home, turn on the computer, pull up the BMD, and start looking. They have pictures that I can compare them to?
Have pictures to compare it to. So you would be asked the question first, is this something to do with the adults? Is this something that you saw outside the bee colony before you entered it? Is this something you saw, for example, in brood, or something you saw in honey, something that you didn't expect to see? So you would start with answering that type of questions, and then add some more detail of it wasn't white, it was yellowish, that type that type of response. And so it takes you through decision trees, and then you get down to a photo, so that you would compare what you saw, is this what the photo is, and then the description that I provided of what the symptoms are. Those two key things I gave, well, let's say yellow and twisted in the cell, would likely lead you to European foul brood, but there could be some other things. So it might come up that it's 75% probability of European foul brood, but 25% that it's chilled brood, let's say. And so then, the description at the end, you'd have the photos of the two of them, but then the description at the end would then help you then decide, oh, yes, that's what I think I saw, or that is what I saw.
Well, certainly encourage people to go out and use it. Makes life a lot simpler if I've got some place to go.
We hope so. Yeah.
I want to say here, it isn't YouTube.
No.
It's associated with a university and experts who know what they're doing, and I can be pretty sure that what I see is correct.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. When we devised the tools for the Honeybee Health Coalition, tools for varroa management, we had basically the same issue. There's some lot of good information in there. So what we were getting back in terms of feedback was, well, I want to make I'm seeing mites at this level. I've got honey supers on the colony. I don't want to use a hard insecticide. Of the information that is in the tools, what are my possible choices? So we've made sort of the short version of that you can enter into a decision tree with those type of things, honey, and then be able to go the short version and say, yes, my supers are on. No, I do not want to use an insecticide, rather an organic material. And so then you come up to the shorter version that says, well, here are some of the possibilities that would work. For example, let's say a drone brood removal, a non-chemical method, and then go back to the tools and find out, well, what are the conditions? When does it work? It works in the spring when bees are rearing drones, that type of information. So
that episode, I was going to mention that the episode with Dr. Ellis was in June, and it was June 15th it came out.
Okay. Jamie also, he probably mentioned he has a podcast that he does from Florida, and not to give conflicting messages, but we also did a BMD on his podcast out of Florida.
Yeah, that was a good episode. We talked about his podcast when we had him on the show, and great show, and I recommend it to anybody to go listen to it.
And there's a great information from, he has a full-time person that helps him. And so there's great information, for example, let's say small hive beetle, and you think you have small hive beetle. He's got some very good extension materials that if you just look at University of Florida and then put in a search like small hive beetles, you'll find that he's got some great material, and almost all of it has photos. He's also a very visually oriented. That's why he's doing BMD as part, but visually oriented. And for the articles that he has written for the journals, again, they're well illustrated, and he helps avoid all of the deep lingo, but explains enough of it as well. We've been talking, recently about murder hornets, and he already has a very good extension bulletin on murder hornets, and it's one of the best of the information that's available.
And Washington Department of Agriculture also has regular updates.
Yeah.
And they do a real good job at
They do.
Yep.
Keeping the sensationalism out of their headlines.
Well, I'm fortunate, Jeff. You're between me and where they are, so you're going to see them before I see them. So
I'll let you know when they get here.
Thanks.
And if I'll bring a couple down if you want, just to explore how much fun they are.
After you kill them, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that too.
Probably
WSDA
the
just
one good thing.
woke up listening to that.
Probably the one good thing about the murder hornet is the beekeeper isn't going to put one of them on a truck and bring it east. They're pretty much grounded right where they are.
Yeah. But we've had that European hornet in the east, and it doesn't attack in mass. And this hornet has the the tenacity to fly in place like a helicopter right in front of the bee entrance and just pick them off as they come in. I mean, what a strategy for a meal. I mean, you go to the restaurant and you're right there in front of the restaurant and picking it off as it comes in. So the fresh stuff,
I will say that I have a friend who lives part of the time in Japan, and he's a beekeeper, and he spent quite a bit of time while in Japan studying the Asian giant hornet. And he says, yeah, they can be aggressive and events happen, but it's not a massive news event that people are concerned about. It happens, people move on, and that's it. It's not a major issue in Japan, at least. So that was good to hear.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, they're also on the menu over there too, Jeff.
Hey, you know what? Anything to help. Stop invasive species.
Dewey, one of the things you just mentioned, and we're getting away from your book, and I want to come back to it, but one of the things you just mentioned that I know people should probably know more about is the Honeybee Health Coalition that you work with, and the publications that they have, and the information that they make available, and how much it costs.
Yeah, Honeybee Health Coalition was basically formed on a concept that we're all in this together. It's not an us versus them. Many beekeepers, when they get started, are very much against pesticides. Well, pesticides kill bees. Yes, they do, but they have a very vital role to play in agriculture, to play in our gardening as well. And we can live side by side. So the Health Coalition was developed to have all of those type of people at the table, not just people with honeybees, not just people interested in pollination, not just the people that are manufacturing and selling the pesticides, but also the distribution of our foods, the other industries that so thoroughly rely on honeybees, the almond industry and the corn growers and the fruit growers, for example. So under one big umbrella to bring all of those together. I happen to represent one of our regional bee associations, the Western Apiculture Society. And we are a group that has formed into basically 4 task forces. And so it's not a group that just has meetings because meetings are something that we do, but to go to meetings and work in these task forces and then work in the interim. That's the BMD came from the same type of thing with the pollinator protection group. It's people that come together and work in task forces, and then during the year are working on specific projects. So we've done that in the Honeybee Health Coalition. I'm on the group of the Hive working group, and from that we all recognize that Varroa is such a issue in terms of our losing colonies. So we've taken on tasks of developing these tools for Varroa management, information in terms of best management practices. The short decision tool on the same. Recently, we've developed a real basic leaflet, but with the basic information of what are our products that we use in beehives that are subject to the veterinary food directive, where we can't get access to antibiotics for our diseases as we have in the past. Other groups are working in crop pest management, again, seeking to try to bring together those that are growing the crops, those that are trying to protect the crops from pests, and still making it available terrain, available forage, available to set bees down alongside without their being harmed. So that is our basic concept. I had the pleasure of working right away to help to develop the tools and the best management practices. And they're vetted. They're vetted in our group, and then we seek outside vetting as well. So it's not just me, but it's a collaborative effort that I think has really paid off. It's a lot of people are using it, and a lot of people seem to like it because it's got all the information you need to know, basically on those tools, the tools that we need to control varroa.
So how do I find this stuff, Dewey?
So honeybeehealthcoalition.org and then /varroa, or just Honeybee Health Coalition. It'll come right up with your on the site. And this material is free. There is no charge for any of the material, and it's all downloadable. So we suggest you download it. If you want to print it out to give to employees or give to others to share with others, that's fine. There's no charge.
Well, I've looked at
Great
this. I've
resource.
looked at the stuff that you've put out there, or your group has put out there, and it's pretty amazing. It's coalition is exactly the right word. It's a lot of good people coming together, and I like the price. So, congratulations on a good job on that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
we felt the extension service, which would be doing that type of unbiased, scientifically based information. They're so busy trying to put out, the flash fires, the murder hornet type of issues. That as a coalition, we had a chance to step back and come from all these various perspectives, and then try to put something together that would be, an outreach type of product that is very much designed. We do not differentiate whether it's just for the commercial beekeepers or just for the backyarders. It's information that a beekeeper from one county to 10,000 counties is able to use and use right away.
Well, it sounds good. Dewey, we got to wrap this up. I want to mention your book one more time. The title is The Complete Bee Handbook: History, Recipes, Beekeeping Basics, and More. It comes out from Rockridge Press. You can get it on Amazon and probably any bookstore anywhere, and it's only $16.99. It's a good price. It's a good book. Dewey, thank you and congratulations.
Well, thank you. If you need to have an autographed copy, they did supply me with some copies. So if they wanted to get in touch with me directly, I'd be glad to send them a copy from here, same price. So
there you go. All right.
Real nice.
Autographed.
What a deal.
No extra for the autograph. I'm glad to do it, and I'm glad to do it. Usually, I go to meetings, and people who have bought the books, I'll have a line of people, as with you too, Kim. The line of people. Please autograph my book. I've been, you get some that are pretty worn. They've been using it, but proud to autograph it for them.
It's always fun when somebody brings the first edition and you're sitting there with the fourth. They've had it that long.
Yeah, they've had
That's
that long.
nice.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
All right, Jeff, anything else?
All right. No, Dewey, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And, geez, you're just right down the road. I ought to come down and visit sometime.
Yeah.
I'll mask up first, though.
Oh, you'll mask up first. Actually, I was adjacent to you last night, but by
Oh, were you?
yeah, I was up in Centralia, which is just below Olympia.
All right.
So
Yeah.
there's a county called Lewis County, great beekeeping group there, and I was actually doing the Zoom with them last night. So
Very nice.
yeah,
that's a nice area.
Yep.
I like it a lot.
yeah,
Well, thanks a lot, Dewey,
Okay, Jeff.
and we look forward to having you back.
yeah. Thank you,
Take care, Dewey.
Kim.
All right.
Thanks.
Kim. Good to see you again. Take care, both of you.
Well, Kim, you were right. He hasn't slowed down at all. I don't think I could keep up with him.
I know I couldn't. I watch him. His influence is everywhere. His work with the Honeybee Health Coalition, especially, but he's working with the BMD program, making that better. The Honeybee Health Coalition, he's making better. I hope he's getting paid enough for all of this, because he's really doing both of those things. Either one of them are great put together. It's good to see the beekeeping industry take responsibility for itself. And produce these products that beekeepers can use for free. They're just making life better for all of us. And Dewey's a big part of it.
That's really good. I'm glad to see it out there, and I'm glad to see people like Dewey, like you said, doing this work and making it available for beekeepers. Well, that about wraps it up for this podcast. Before we go, I want to encourage our listeners to rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, wherever you download and stream the show. Your vote helps other beekeepers find us quicker. Even better, write a review and let us know what you like. As always, we thank Bee Culture, the magazine for American beekeeping, for their continued support of Beekeeping Today podcast. We want to thank our regular episode sponsor, Global Patties. Check them out at www.globalpatties.com. We want to thank Strong Microbials for becoming the latest supporter of the podcast. Check out their probiotic line at www.strongmicrobials.com. And finally, we want to thank you, the Beekeeping Today podcast listener, for joining us on this show. Feel free to send us questions or comments at questions@beekeepingtodaypodcast.com. We'd love to hear from you. Anything else, Kim?
I think that about wraps it up. After listening to Dewey, I need to take a rest.
I know, it sounds like you had to get out and get to writing.
Something. I don't know. He's something else.
Isn't he, though? All right.
All right, take it easy, Jeff.
All right, you too.